Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Bakersfield, San Jose, California, Buffalo, New York, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Everybody, you have a special guest returning to the show, Kim Bright. She's a pioneer. She's very popular the first time we had her on the show with the audience, and she's a pioneer in nutrition industry, an expert in health and wellness, and the founder of Brightcore Nutrition, now in its 27th year. Since the 1980s, she's been appearing regularly on nationally syndicated and local radio and television programs, educating people and doctors on how to optimize their health. She's also one of our new sponsors. Welcome back to the show, Kim. Good to see you. I'm sure our audience is excited to see you again, too.
Well, thank you, Jimmy, for having me back. And that's great to hear that your audience enjoyed our show.
Yeah, they certainly did. Well, I wanted to have you on because I wanted to talk to you. I know you're a big Maha supporter, big RFK Jr. supporter. And I wanted to go over End Tribalism in Politics, did a nice thread about just 2 months in RFK. Let's see what's happened. So let's go over it.
All right.
2 months ago, RFK Jr. stepped into the Health and Human Services with a mission to challenge decades of captured science and failed health policy. Month 2 was the biggest yet for the Maha movement, and here's what happened, right? So RFK Jr. kicked off his second month in office with a bang, dropping 3 major announcements in a single interview. Operation Stork Speed, which is a full review of baby formulas, the first since 1998. Now, I was talking to a doctor who just had a baby, and he was talking, now, do you know what's in those baby formulas? So babies need a lot of fat, right?
Right.
And so they filled those baby formulas with seed oils. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. And they also, if you test them, most of the baby formulas have too much heavy metals, especially lead.
No,
so
you're kidding.
I'm not kidding, Jimmy. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you at all. And the rice cereals that babies eat, which is their first food after formula or mother's milk, has levels of arsenic.
No kidding.
God.
Well, I know that I used to eat brown rice, and then I saw a doctor on Joe Rogan say, no, our brown rice is full of arsenic. It's worse than regular white rice. So that's when I stopped eating brown rice.
Well, you got to get your brown rice from a good source, but yeah, because of everything they're spraying in the sky, the water is polluted. I mean, he's walking into such a mess up, just a pile here. But yeah, we've got to clean up everything because it's really inundating our food.
So I'm excited about that they're doing Operation Stork Speed, which is to finally take a review of the baby formula that we give babies. And I would love to see a side-by-side comparison of people who are breastfed and people who are bottle formula fed and see the difference in their health outcomes. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Huge difference.
Yeah. Have you ever seen any studies done on that?
Yes, I have, because I breastfed all my kids. And I wasn't breastfed as a child because my mother I was crying for the first 3 days because she was barely having anything come out. And they wondered, man, this is a really bad kid we have here. The first child, we got a crazy kid here, cries all the time. Well, but the doctor's like, she's not getting any food out of you. So they had to put me on formula. And that was a big difference. And my kids were very different on mother's milk. It's a totally different thing. I mean, God made mother's milk and man makes formulas.
So he also, just in the last month, he has a new initiative with state governments to remove cell phones from school. We covered that. We talked about that.
EMFs and all of those things need to come away from schools, from hospitals. I mean, hospitals have tremendous amount of electromagnetic stuff going through them. They've got the microwave, on the top of the, they've got so many microwaves going through there for the equipment, let alone the phone lines. So yeah, we've got to clean up everything. And I'm so happy that he's paying attention to these because it definitely affects the children's brain. It definitely affects when they're sleeping with electronic things in their room at night. They don't get to sleep. So lots has to be done here in Exposed.
So if I'm sleeping with for years, I've slept with my cell phone right next to my head.
Oh God, no.
And that's bad.
really bad.
Now, what if I put it in the drawer in my nightstand and close the drawer?
How about you leave it in the living room?
Really?
And-
I should put it in a different room?
Oh, definitely. Everybody needs electronic-free sleeping area because the EMFs that are emitted, I mean, I could do a whole show with you on that one. I did radio shows with this, and it's just horrific what it does.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, I heard, who was it? The woman who founded the Huffington Post,
Ariana
Huffington, talked about how she had to reimagine her sleep, and she takes her cell phone and puts it in another room. And I was like, well, that's a little extreme, but you're saying that's not.
No, it's not extreme. I even unplugged my TV and I unplugged my Wi-Fi, everything at night. I don't want that stuff coming in my space because already we have so many different electronic wavelengths and frequencies coming in to our space. So why add more?
And so, okay, yeah, I actually, again, I'm watching Joe Rogan. When he had RFK on, they talked about how Wi-Fi, just regular Wi-Fi, can cross the blood-brain barrier and damage your mitochondria.
That's right. Your mitochondria is your little power plants in every cell. And so when you damage those, guess what? You don't have energy. Why do you think these kids are dragging themselves to school? They're got their phones in their room. They've got TVs in their room. They're, either listening to music all night long or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. We've got to re-educate everybody on these things.
And what do you think about using Bluetooth earphones with your phone? Is that good, bad, indifferent?
I don't use Bluetooth.
No?
Nope.
Okay. So
I don't hook it up to my phone in the car. I don't, I try and stay away, Jimmy, from as many of these electronic things. I was talking back in the 80s about, people that they had cancer or their kids were really sick all the time. They were living underneath these heavy duty power lines. It's like, you got to move away from that. And I would go into their homes and I would look at all the different pollutants in their homes. And, we had to clean up back then. I mean, it's worse now.
No, even when I was younger, I remember people talking about there was a higher incidence of cancers and things, people who lived underneath big, heavy duty power lines.
Have you ever stood under one of those big things and listened?
Yes.
You can hear the frequencies.
Yeah. Okay. And so there's one more thing. RFK has a plan to eliminate the outdated GRAS standard once and for all. Do you know what GRAS stands for?
Yes, generally accepted as safe. Now, that went into effect in the FDA in 1958. And back then, what that was supposed to do is have companies that wanted to add anything that was weird, not like dairy, meat, butter, eggs, real food. They were supposed to go through a whole process so the FDA could approve it as safe. Well, it would take 7 or 8 years for them to get this done. So basically what it did over time, it just became watered down to the point where the FDA was like, well, if you say it's safe, we say it's safe. It's okay. We don't have the time to look at all this, because I make a joke about, the FDA really has been the DA, Drug Administration, because nothing has been focused on our food hardly at all throughout these years. So the F's been silent. Now the F is going to go in and be very present with, Secretary Kennedy being in charge.
So we're going to put the food back in the Food and Drug Administration.
That's correct, Jimmy. That's right.
So GRAS, generally recognized as safe. So he's going to talk about that, how he's going to revamp those regulations. Let's listen.
We wanted the dyes out of the food. The science on the dyes is so overwhelming. They're making products now in this country that have the dyes in them, like Fruit Loops, for example. Mm-hmm. And you buy the same product in Canada and it doesn't have the dyes. You buy the same product in Europe and it doesn't have the dyes. That's right. So there are a lot of ingredients. And one of the things that we're doing is we've launched a review of the GRAS standards, and we're going to get rid of the GRAS standards for most products. The GRAS standards is a standard that was adopted in 1958. it was adopted because when FDA was created to regulate food, there were foods that were generally recognized as safe, GRAS, generally recognized as safe, like flour, like dairy, like eggs. And they didn't want to make companies test those products, so they created that designation. But that designation was expanded by an industry that began taking advantage of it so that any new chemical that they want to add to our food is generally recognized as safe and gets no review. That's why we have 10,000 ingredients in our food in this country. In Europe, they only have 400. And we have the worst chronic disease burden of any country in the world. So we are going to get rid of the GRAS standards for new products. We're going to go back and review all of these old ingredients to make sure that they are safe. And we're going to encourage these companies to get rid of them as quickly as possible.
So I think that's a big deal. Don't you think that's a big deal?
That's a gigantic deal.
Yeah.
Gigantic.
I never even
We've
heard.
got, like he said, 10,000 different additives in our food supply, and Europe's got 400. Europe and Canada use beet juice and carrot juice to color the Fruit Loops. We're using artificial synthetic colorings from petroleum products. What do you think that does to our body? All these poisons are so bad, and it's not just now. It's generational, Jimmy. I mean, this has been affecting 3-4 generations. You look at since 1958 and even before then. After World War II is when really things started to, go downhill.
So that's a pretty impressive second month, right? So,
yeah, I'd say so.
So he also, this is another bombshell. He's vowing to overhaul the CDC vaccine policy from the ground up. So
yay!
So let's listen to this.
I know the question that you've been asked throughout your confirmation hearings, of course, was about the public's, I think, justifiable concern with the growth of vaccines. And the senators asked you enough questions about that, but I don't think you need to rehash a lot of it. But for the people who are asking questions about whether or not they'll vaccinate their kids or whether they should vaccinate their kids, will anything change about vaccine policy?
Yeah, everything's going to change because we're going to have good information. And, none of the vaccines that are given, but people said to me during the hearing, this link between autism and vaccines has been disproven. None of the vaccines that are given during the first 6 months of life have ever been tested for. The only one was the DTP vaccine, and that one study that was done, according to the Institute of Medicine, the National Academy of Sciences, found that there was a link. They threw out that study because it was based upon CDC's surveillance system, theirs, and they said that system is no good. I think it begs the question is, why doesn't CDC have a functional surveillance system? We're going to make sure they do have a functional surveillance system. Right now, the surveillance system is the system that, because they don't do pre-licensing safety testing for vaccines, they're the only product that's exempt. So what they say is, if there are injuries, we'll capture them afterward. But they have a system that doesn't capture them. In fact, CDC's own study of its own system said it captures fewer than 1% of vaccine injuries. It's worthless. And everybody agrees it's worthless. But why have we gone for 39 years and nobody's fixed it?
Without a functional system, right.
We're going to fix it. And we have, we have DOGE, knows how to manage data. And so we're going to be able to get into these databases and give answers to the American public. And we're going to fix the problems. If there are problems, we're going to fix them very quickly, but we're going to follow the science. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have gold standard science, and we're going to follow the science. We're going to publish all of our data sets, which CDC has never done. We're going to do replication of all of our studies, which CDC has never done. We're going to publish our peer review, which CDC has never done. So people are going to have real answers for the first time.
So, I mean, that's also revolutionary, groundbreaking. It seems like he's bringing real transparency to this CDC and vaccines in general. And isn't it how could but there are still people like Elizabeth Warren out there and liberals of all sorts who are poo-pooing what he's trying to do. Is that still mind-blowing to you?
Well, of course it is, but he's bringing competency. He's going to actually use real science. Do you think real science has been being used all these years with all these incompetent people they've had there? And I don't know if they've really been incompetent or they're really helping Big Pharma grow. And that's, I'm sure she's got stock as well as the other people in these companies that keep people sick and make the vaccines. So you always have to follow the money, Jimmy. I mean, these people, that it's going to be the money. I mean, if they're so dumb as to think that they've been following the science and the way they've been doing it prior, then we really have a problem with these people in Congress if they're that stupid.
So I wanted to show you this. Remember, all this has happened just between March 13th and now.
Yeah, that shows you what competency can do. And putting a team of real competent people together, which Trump has done, President Trump. I mean, he's going lightning speed because there's just so much to change. There's so much to fix. I mean, they gave him a big, huge pile of what dumped on, everybody to try and fix. And that's what they're doing now. They're going at lightning speed, which I commend all of them for what they're doing. And it's going to turn us around. It's going to turn this nation, make America healthy again, make America great again, make America safe again. All of this is, happening. And of course, the people that don't want it that way, the people that wanted to keep it the other way, they're not happy.
Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Bakersfield, San Jose, California, Buffalo, New York, Toledo, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.